So, good morning, guys. So, today we are going to actually install the parts that are necessary for our SCCM configuration. So, basically, this is the setup that I've done on Chetan's account. So, I have actually created three machines. One is with the Windows Server operating system uh, with 2012 R2 data center. So that's the operating system version that I'm using. So I just created a virtual machine. I haven't done any configuration. Just I said Azure to, like I will tell you what I did. I clicked on add here and then I given the configuration details. This is something called as resource group, like a folder where you can keep all your, you are just giving a folder name to keep everything in the one folder, and you give some kind of a name to the machine that you're creating, and here you will select uh, Windows 12, 2012 R2 data center, and then you will select the CPU size and memory that you want to deploy, and give a username and password, and hit next, and then finish. That's it. So that's I have done for all these three machines. One is for Active Directory, so we are going to install our first domain controller, uh, and it's going to be our first domain controller and forest, which we are going to create, because SSCM works hands on hand with Active Directory. So SSCM, for the first prerequisite is like it should be in the domain. So we are creating a domain infrastructure using this particular virtual machine. And then here the SCCM part is going to be installed on this virtual machine. It is also similar configuration. I have installed Windows 2012 R2 Data Center Edition here. And now this is the client PC to which we are going to deploy the configuration, config manager client, and deploy map client policies, and push software. So this is a Windows 10 machine that I've created. So for today's demo, we don't need the Windows 10 client. So uh, but still I'm just going to just join it to domain, and then I will show you like how this is going to pulled up in SCCM device collection and all the stuff. So first, for the first piece is like we need to install Active Directory. Okay, we need to create a domain to which you can join machines, or you guys already know what is a domain is and what is a domain controller is. So that is what we are going to do today. So let me just RDP. So basically there are two things. There will be, if our machines that are created in Azure, there will be a public IP. Okay, this is the public IP. Public IP in the sense it can be accessed from internet, and there will be a private IP. Private IP can be accessed only within the network range, which means if there is another IP, I'll show you. If I go to networking, so this is the public IP, so this can be accessed from anywhere. This is the private IP. The private IP can be accessed only networks within this range, which means 10.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.255. So I can add RDP to this particular activator machine from these two machines internally, uh, and this is the public IP which I'm using right now to access the machine from my laptop directly on over the internet. So have given the I've given the IP address over there to RDP. So you guys know what is an RDP, right?
Yes.
So yeah, this is an RDP that I'm doing, which is actually connecting to the server remotely to a session. So I have given this uh, machine active directory, and the password is active. So first I need to log on locally to the machine. Okay, so it is not joined to any domain. So if I need to log on to the machine locally, I need to give the machine name / lab administrator. I just have created one username and password. Just hang on, let me check what is that I created yesterday. So it's lab account. Yes, any questions?
The server we can log in from anywhere. I mean,
Yes, that's right. That's right. Because it has a public IP address. Public IP address in the sense it is an internet facing IP address. So from whoever has internet, he can connect directly. Okay, to the machine. So I'm giving the password that I have set up. It is refusing. Why? Is my username password incorrect? Okay, more choices. Active directory slash lab. Okay, so it is connecting. So so now I'm actually connecting to the server that I have installed the operating system on. So now we have couple of things to do on those servers. So the screen popped up on my. So I'm using two monitors for this demonstration because I have to run on multiple things. So you can see the screen, right, or the server thing coming up now.
Yes.
Okay, it's loading settings. It's still blank. Yeah. So basically, you guys already know what is a domain controller, right? For to install a domain controller, it comes up with an inbuilt tools with Windows Server operating system, and you need to use the server manager to actually install the roles that you need to to make it a domain controller. So we are going to do that, but what happened? What happened to this? I lost connection to the RDP. Let me just connect again. Okay. Mm, Normally this works fine, but sometimes, you know. Okay, so yeah, it's coming up. Okay, so that's fine. This is the first time I'm logging to the machine, so I will have couple of things to do. That's fine, but so basically this is the server manager dashboard that you get when you log on to the machine. So if you want to launch it freshly, you can launch it from here. So this is called a server manager. Okay, so a kind of a management console from where you can actually do a lot of stuff, not only locally to the machine. Once machines are joined to domain, you can remotely also manage. If you want to install some kind of a role on a different server, you can actually do it from here. But for now, I will add the roles locally. So on this machine, so I click on add roles and features. Okay, so this is the wizard you will get. So basically, if I go here, this machine is currently in a work group. So work group in the sense it doesn't it does is not been joined to any domain. So how do you check that? If I go to this PC and say properties, so this is a work group machine. You can see here, right? The machine name is Active Directory and it is in work group. So normally the process of joining to a domain is like you go here and you go to system properties and click change, and you will keep a domain here and give the domain namespace and click OK and give the username and password. But we don't have any domain in our environment yet because there is no domain. So we have to create the domain here. So we need to create something which you will put here. So that is what we are going to do now. Let's go to server manager again, and I will start from the roles and wizard features. So there are couple of things. There are role based installation and a feature based installation. So role based installation is something like a complete role, like a DHCP role, a DNS role, a Active Directory role. Okay, so these are role based installations. Feature based installations are like a small feature that you need to install. For example, you want to install Windows authentication for IAS, or if you want to install some telnet client on your server. So these are feature based installations. So those are the features that your server will have. That is the, and now we are going to go with role based installations. So primarily you don't need to know about this part. This is corely for people who manage Active Directory, do installations and all those sort of things. But for SCCM administrator, we don't need to know. But I'm just giving an overview. So these are all the role based installations: Active Directory certificate services, Active Directory domain services. This is what we need. Okay, so this is a role, and we have another so these are the additional features that we need for Active Directory to be installed. See, if this is the role that we are installing, it needs some features to work properly. The features are like the tools that we need to administer Active Directory, and the PowerShell module for Active Directory. So these are all the features that we need. So feature based installation and a role based installation. So basically we have another DHCP, DNS, okay, Hyper-V role, okay, IIS role. So these are all the roles based installations. So for now we don't need all this, so I will install Active Directory domain services. If you hit next, so these are the features, okay, feature based installations. So we have group policy management console, we have other things like SMB, Telnet. Okay, these are features. So basically it is not mandatory that you need to install a role. If I go back here, I'm sorry. So it is not mandatory that you need to install a role to select feature. You can directly select feature and install the feature you want. It is not required to have a role to be installed along with the feature. So did I lost RDP? Oh man, I think I lost the connection. Why? Mine too. You guys can hear me properly, right? Without any issues.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
My internet seems to be fine. I don't know why this is actually getting disconnected. It doesn't happen normally. It works absolutely fine. So so let me just try to reconnect and establish. Come on. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm connecting back. I don't know why it is getting disconnected. I have a stable internet here. Oh, do I need to start from beginning? I should not. Okay, so yeah. So so I just hit the Active Directory domain services and then hit next, next, and next. That's it. I will say install. So it kind of do some validation before it starts installing Active Directory. Uh, and it will install the roles and features that are required for the Active Directory services to work. Okay, so typically a domain controller is something, you can blindly say this: a domain controller is something which has Active Directory role installed on it. Okay, if a server has a Active Directory role installed on it, it is called as a domain controller. That's the blind thumb rule you can follow. Okay, and if a server which is joined to, if a machine which has a server operating system and doesn't have an Active Directory role installed on it, it is joined to the domain, it is called as a member server. Okay, a member server is it is a server operating system, but it doesn't have Active Directory role installed on it. A domain controller is a server which has Active Directory role installed on it. So that's the thumb rules you can follow if you want to differentiate between domain controller and a member server. And any operating system like 10 Windows 10 or Windows 8 operating system which is joined to the domain is called a client operating system, a client machine. So these are the three different areas we are going to actually work on. So this is going to be a domain controller. And now SSCM also has a Windows Server 2012 R2 operating system. So, but that doesn't become a domain controller because we are not going to install Active Directory role on that. We are going to install SSCM. So that will become a member server. Okay, and our Windows 10 machine going to be a client machine, client computer, which will be joined to the domain. These are the terminologies that you need to remember. um, so it's gonna take some time. I think it's finished. So now let's close this visit. So it doesn't mean that we have completed everything. Okay, we have just installed the role that we need. Oh my god, what's wrong with this? So we just installed the role what that we need. So now we need to make this a domain controller. So what you now done is like you actually you mean you bought the setup and you bought the setup prepared for you. Now you need to make the configuration part. Configuration part is like you are going to give your domain a name. Okay, what is a domain name like microsoft.com or yahoo.com? Okay, so you're gonna give some name to this particular domain. So there are three options here. See, add a domain controller to an existing domain. Okay, which means if you already have a domain like microsoft.com, you can add an additional domain controller. You can add one more domain controller to microsoft.com so that you will have two domain controllers. Yesterday we are talking about FSMO roles, right? So you can transfer some roles to the second domain controller that we are creating here. So you have a balance redundancy. Okay, so you can distribute roles between the domain controllers, or you can distribute load. So you have high availability. Even though if one server is down, you will have another server which will actually help your users to log on to the machines. Okay, so all those stuff. So that is where the first option will be used. For that, you need to give your existing domain name here. Whatever you have created previously, that you need to give. And now add a new domain to an existing forest. So this is called as a child domain. Okay, so or tree domain. There are two types. So child domain is we are discussing, right? For example, you have a domain microsoft.com, and there is another domain corporate.microsoft.com. Yesterday I'm showing you a Visio presentation where we have three servers, and each server has their own three domain roles and two forest roles completely for all the three domains. So that is what a child domain is. So if you have a microsoft.com domain, you can now create a corporate.microsoft.com domain here. So that is a child domain. So that these domains will have their own domain wide roles. The three domain wide role: PDC, infrastructure master role, and read master role. Okay, and it will also have a common two forest roles along with the microsoft.com. So you're creating a child from a parent. So this is not going to be useful for us now because we don't have a domain yet. So this is what we are going to do: add a new forest. So this is the first domain controller you are creating in your environment. So this is where you will start it, and you will give some kind of name to it. So lab.com is my, okay, I'm giving a lab.com name. So lab is my primary domain like Microsoft. Okay, so I'm giving lab.com here. So lab will be your domain name. So domain name will help out other clients to be joined to that particular domain, and it can manage entities which are part of that particular domain. So this is the root domain name that I'm giving. So next. Okay, so you're clear about the three options, right?
Yes, Malik.
Okay,
Mo-
now, so now this is so we are installing DNS server as a part of it. This is called Active Directory Integrated DNS. This is the best part of the Active Directory and DNS combination. So Well, what happens is like whenever you create some kind of see, the Active Directory works hands on hand with DNS rather than installing Active Directory role separately and DNS role separately. If you install DNS along with Active Directory, it is called as Active Directory integrated DNS. It's gonna provide you a lot of flexibility and more features for you. And a global catalog is something like uh, see, if you have multiple domain controllers, 10 or 20 domain controllers, you will make one or two domain controllers or three or four domain controllers as a global catalog, which means that you just tick this box. Okay, a global catalog, what it will do, it will replicate the changes to the other domain controllers. If someone has changed a password on a domain controller, so that change should be replicated to a different domain controller, right? So that thing will be taken care by global catalogs. So global catalogs will take that initiative to drive the changes across the other domain controllers in the forest. So this is a password that we are giving here. This password is called as DSRM password, the directory services restore mode, which means if in case if you want to restore your active directory is crashed for some reason, and you want to restore the active directory to back to its backup from its backup or to its some kind of state. So that is the password that you are going to use, that is called the DSRM password. And create DNS, don't need to create any delegations at this point. Come on, I lost it. Don't know why it frequently gets disconnected.
How much RAM you given for this server?
RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have 8 GB of RAM.
Okay.
See, because in Azure free trial subscription, you can only uh, use up to 4 virtual CPUs. Okay, but basically this configuration works absolutely fine for me. So whatever I have created is absolutely working fine without any issues. So I've replicated the same configuration here. So it shouldn't be a problem. See, it's not a RAM issue or something. If it is a RAM issue, we need to see some kind of performance problems with the server. But this is something related to network, which I'm losing frequent RDP connection. Uh, so let me just try to connect back again. Anyways, we need to reboot this box in a minute or two. Okay, let me just try to RDP once again. It's kind of frustrating for me. Uh, I'm expecting that I have a very good internet connection. Anyways, I'm just trying to RDP back. I think that's pretty much good internet. Okay, don't tell me I need to start from beginning. I think these are minimized. Come on. God damn.
Why
Oh,
it is showing caution symbol, that flag, right
this
side?
this flag, yeah, this flag means that you need something to, I mean, like that is kind of an alert for you that you need to do post installation configuration. So we have installed the Active Directory role right now.
Yes.
So you need to actually provide some kind of configuration after installing the role. So that flag indicates the same thing. Okay. So you have installed Active Directory role, but you haven't done the post installation configuration, that is providing I mean, like providing a domain name and the DSRM password things that we are doing right now. So that is the alert for the same reason. So once you configure your server properly, that alert should go after the reboot. So yes, let's
Okay.
come on. This row, what's wrong with this? I think I need to let me just do that after reboot. I will scale the size. But I never seen issues with this. Come on.
Just check one more time. Have you missed any settings like that? That
If I reboot now, I will lose everything. So
okay.
I need to start from the beginning again. So just wait. Okay. What happened? God. For some reason, I'm not able to. Okay. So I think it is due to the network is fine. I think I have CPU is also at 30%. Then what else I have high? Oh, this is the chart for that particular machine. So just bear with me. I'm going to or or just give me one thing. I'll do one thing. I'll switch to a different network. I have a modem. I'll try and see if that is the problem. But I don't think so. I want to install this role and then reboot and see if the issue still persists.
Okay.
I'm initiating RDP. Okay, just hang on. Just be here. I'll be right there. Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I'm back. So I'm just connected to a different network. So let's see if that makes any difference. Okay. Okay. So I don't need any grid DNS delegation, and I say next. So NetBIOS name. So NetBIOS name is nothing but a name that you have given lab, right? Lab.com. So that is the NetBIOS name. So without .com, it is called as NetBIOS name, and with .com, it is called as FQDN. fully qualified domain name. So this is the NetBIOS name. So this particular name should not exceed more than 20 characters. That is the limitation that we have in Windows world. So we just have three, so that is fine. So I hit next. So see, these are the see Active Directory is essentially a database. Okay, so a database will host its data somewhere, right? So this is where the database is going to be created. The database folder is ntds. So generally, Active Directory is stored in a database called as ntds.dit. Dit. Dit is the directory kind of thing. So database log, so you should not you should never ever touch the ntds.dit file, because it will keep growing. So if you think that it is some kind of file and it is taking a lot of space on C drive, and if you delete it, then it's a problem. Normally you will not be able to delete it, but still if you try to force delete or some kind of stuff, your Active Directory is going to malfunction. So this is the flaw where logs going to be stored. This is the path, and this is the sysvol folder. Sysvol folder, you guys know, right? Generally what they used for you, if you create some kind of policies, group policies and all those stuff, those will be stored in the system volume folder. So that's pretty much it. So you just hit next, and that's it. The installation will start. And the I mean, like, this is called as DC promotion, promoting to a domain controller. So you've installed the Active Directory role. Now you are promoting it to a domain controller. So for example, if you can install Active Directory role on any Windows server, but if you are not promoting it as a domain controller, it is not a domain controller. So you need to follow all this process, the step by step process of adding this particular server to an existing domain, or creating a new domain, or a child domain. So and then provide the DSRM password and follow all the steps through the wizard. So this is called as a DC promotion, domain controller promotion. Previously in 2008, 2008 R2, we used to have a command line interface to do this. This is called that is called DC promo command, but that command is deprecated in 2012. So we have now PowerShell based joining to domain, and the GUI based. The GUI based is what now we are actually doing. Okay. So I think it's pretty much good with my secondary network. I'm not seeing any issues so far. I think it is some intermittent issues with my Wi-Fi. So I've connected to a Airtel dongle. So I think it's working fine. That's it. So this is what we are actually installing now, the domain controller. Now once the domain controller is installed, I mean, like, promoted, you need to reboot the domain controller and log in as a domain administrator. Basically, the account you are using now uh, is a local administrator, because don't have a domain before. This account will be added as a domain administrator. So next time when you log in, so previously how did we log in? We logged in as Active Directory slash lab account, and then we have given the password, right? Now how we can log in is lab account at lab.com, because lab.com is our domain that we have built. So lab account at lab.com, and then the password will be given, so you will be logged in as a domain admin. So let's see how it goes after the installation. It will take just a 5 minutes of time, I believe, so not more than that. So clear so far? Any questions you guys have?
No, no, Malik. But when we will install SQL database after this
Uh-huh.
step, or
SQL database is essential for SCCM, not for Active Directory. Okay, Active Directory
okay,
don't need SQL services. Active
okay,
Directory has its own database, which is ntds.dit, right?
okay,
So that is stored on C drive. So we don't need SQL services for installation of Active Directory. Active Directory is a prerequisite for SCCM, not for, I mean, sorry, SQL services is prerequisite for SCCM, not for Active Directory. So that will be that we will be doing on the SCCM server. Okay.
okay. Okay,
You can install it here as well, but it is not recommended. I just want domain controller to run on a single server, and we can actually do the other things on the different server, the SQL
yes.
database and SCCM on a one particular server, so that it will be actually it will actually improve the, and normally we don't do it in
Performance.
production. Yeah, normally we don't do it in production, but in lab scenarios you can do it, because if SCCM want to query the database, it will go out of the server again, right? So basically if you have it at one place or both on one server, it will do it everything at one place, so it will improve some kind of performance, but normally we
But
don't do it. Yeah.
real-time scenario also we'll install separately, right? In different
Yes,
s-
yes,
different server only we'll install. I
yes.
mean,
SQL
SQL
server
server.
will be different, SCCM server will be different
Different, yeah, that's right.
in real time scenario, because in real time scenario in corporates, right, we don't have
Yes,
issues with the bandwidth and all those stuff, because we have a, because everything works on a LAN, right? LAN has a lot of, I
yes,
mean, like we don't have limitations with bandwidths, downloads and all those stuff. So
yes.
so that is not going to be a problem. So yeah, that's it. So the domain controller role is installed, we have configured the domain, we need to reboot the server. Okay, so I just hit close and let's go with the reboot. So that's rebooting, that should come up in a minute or two. So now when I'm logging in, um, I will show you the changes. Okay, so this is the IP address of the machine. It's gonna take a minute, so let's wait. No other questions, right? So far so good, everything is clear.
Yes, Malik.
Uh, One more question.
Yes, go ahead.
Actually, actually, we are creating a root admin account, right? And the root account while creating the AD Active Directory Services
That is not an account, that is a
local
DSRM
account.
password. DSR, you're talking about the DSRM password?
Yes, yes, right.
Okay, that is the DSRM password. So the DSRM password is used uh, in case when you need to recover the Active Directory. So for example, your Active Directory is crashed, okay, and you
Okay.
want to go into, see, you know, safe mode,
Yes.
you know, safe mode with command prompt and all those options, right? For
Yeah, yeah.
Active Directory, it's for domain controls, we will have another option called as DSRM mode, Directory Services Restore mode. So in order to recover Active Directory, you need to enter into that particular mode after rebooting the machine. Okay, and you need to provide this password, whatever the password you have set now, you need to give that password. Only then you will be logged into DSRM mode.
Okay. And how this SCCM server authenticate the AD then? It will use the other account, any domain account.
Which authentication? See, I will show you everything. Why you want
Entities.
to get? Let just give me a couple of minutes. Okay,
Okay.
so once this installation is done, I will actually go to the SSCM server and show you, like how the SCCM and Active Directory will communicate with each other. And so previously we logged in like this, right? Active Directory slash lab account name. Active Directory is the name of the server, and
Location.
lab account is the account that I've created. But now I can log in like this, lab account at lab.com. So lab.com is our domain, right?
Yes.
And now I will use the same password. Okay, so now I will enter. Now I'm logging in into as a domain administrator. I'm not logging in locally. So logging in locally and logging into domain is two different things. Okay, so basically what happens, you will have certain set of privileges and also certain set of restrictions logging into locally on the server. So for example, if you are logging into locally on a server and you want to do some kind of stuff which is related to domain purposes, probably you will may be restricted. So logging into locally means even though you don't, for example, if you have physical access to that server, even though the machine does not have internet connection or network connection, anything, but you can still able to log in. That means you're able to log into your laptop. Okay, so you will have privileges, some kind of local privileges, but not domain privileges. But if you log in as a domain administrator, you will have domain privileges. That is what we need. Okay, as a domain administrator, as we are managing a domain, we need domain privileges. We don't need local privileges, right? Why we need local privileges? Local privileges only particularly only intended for that machine, but in domain you can manage multiple things. You can create user objects, you can manage multiple servers and all the stuff. So we need domain access. So so did you see that notification is now gone? That yellow
Yes.
color notification is
Yes.
gone.
Yes,
Okay,
Malik.
so if now if I go to Active Directory users and computers, I believe this particular window is pretty much familiar to you guys, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, Malik.
this is the lab.com. This is your root domain. This is your first domain controller, guys. So you have created that. Now uh, now we need to actually install the SCCM. Okay, so from the domain controller side, we are all set up. Okay, we don't have anything else to do. This is your domain controller. Now your domain controller can create user accounts. Your domain controller can create computer accounts. Your I mean, like, domain controller can help you joining in other domains. Okay, so for example, you can create multiple domains if you want to install a secondary domain controller, you can create another server and join to this domain, or you can create a child domain, something like corporate.lab.com. Okay, or you can join machines like our, now we are going to join our SSCM machine to this lab.com. So that's how the communication will happen. So basically there is one thing I need to check here, that is the IP config. So this is the Active Directory server and this is the DNS server, right? You agree, right? We install DNS also here. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Malik.
So if you remember the concept of DNS that I have told you before, right? So what happens? Every server in your network will reach the DNS server, right? If for example, if you look at the SSCM server, so if SSCM server want to go to google.com, now it will reach the this server, right? Active Directory server. This is also a DNS server, so it will reach here.
Yes.
Now if the DNS server has a record, it will act, I mean, if the DNS has a record for that particular domain, it will reply back to SSCM. If there is no record for that particular domain, what it will do? It will go to
It
the
got
root hint. It will,
root hint.
right? It will go to the root hint, and again the same theory as I told you earlier. It will go to the root server, then to the top level server, then to the actual authoritative DNS, that is the Google server, and then get the IP address, and then it will give it to SSCM. You guys remember all those process, right?
For the first time, it
Yes.
will take time. Afterwards,
Right.
it will automatically cache. From cache, it will take.
Right, absolutely right. So that is what we are actually discussed in the last class, right? So for now, so now this is the DNS server. This is the ultimate and right. So it doesn't have another DNS server to query. It will directly query root hint server, right? So for this, the DNS server is the local host 127.0.0.1. So this means that it is a local host, but I want to change it to the whatever the IP address of the machine it is. So for example, this machine IP address is 10.0.0.0.4. Okay, so I'm giving the same DNS server here because this is the Active Directory server, this is the DNS server. Okay, it doesn't have another DNS server which can help. Even it should resolve the address or it should forward to the root hint server. Yes, clear?
Yes, Malik.
Yes.
So I'm just giving the local IP address of the server to the DNS server because this is the only DNS server that we have. So it should respond or it should forward. So if it is forwarding, it is going to the internet. So we don't need the IP address. That configuration is already there in DNS server. So we don't need the IP addresses to be configured anywhere here. So locally, it should which means that whenever some DNS request comes here, it will check here if there is any other DNS server. No, okay, this is my IP address only, so I need to resolve it here, or I should forward to the internet. So that's what it will come to know. So after this change, I may lose network, so I need to reboot this server again. And while it is rebooting, we will log into the SCCM server. Okay, so yes, restart. So I've initiated a restart on Active Directory. Now I will connect to the SCCM server. So this is the SCCM server IP address. So I will initiate a remote desktop connection to the IP address. Same as we did earlier. I will let me just show you this as well. Okay, same as I did earlier. I will actually log in locally to the machine. So the computer name is SCCM slash I want to log in as a local account, so that is the lab account, and I will give you a password. Okay, this has a bit of high configuration like compared to Active Directory. I've got two virtual CPUs, I've got 16 GB RAM, and I have one extra 1 TB hard disk attached to it. So because we need to install SCCM on a separate drive, not on the one I mean not on the C drive. So I want to separate the installation files and the SCCM configuration files and the content library, everything onto a different drive altogether. So that's fine. So basically now we have SCCM installed. So now we need to, SCCM server up connected. Now what we need to do is we need to actually join this to the lab domain. Okay. Properties. If I go to properties, advanced, it is still in work group only, right? If you can see, SCCM server is still in work group. Now I need to go to
Domain
lab.com,
lab.com
right? So if I hit OK, it will fail. You know why?
authentication.
DNS entry.
Right. We need to have the DNS. So we need to tell the server to reach to that particular DNS server. Okay. So basically, if I go to the network, so it is trying to reach lab.com. So this is the classic example. So this is trying to reach the lab.com, and the lab.com request is now going to which IP address? It is using some DNS default DNS IP that Microsoft Azure is provided. Okay, so we don't want that because lab.com cannot be resolved by Microsoft Azure, because this is something we are internally building on our it is not internet based domain, first thing. Okay, and the second thing is it is something which we are internally building it. So lab.com Microsoft Azure do not know where to go. So I need to tell the server that it should go to the DNS server of 10.0.0.4. Okay, this is the DNS server IP address, right? The DNS server or Active Directory, whatever it is, we installed both roles on the one server. So this is the DNS server IP address. Yes. So I give OK, and I will lose collection. I mean connection here as well. Sorry. So we need to reboot this one more time. So let's go. Did I apply? Okay, lost. Okay, so reboot. So this is one problem building lab in Active Directory. I mean, building lab in Microsoft Azure. After changing the DNS entry, you will lose the connection, so you need to reboot. But basically, there is another way of doing it as well. You can build your own DNS server in the subnet and do it, but that is again a mess. So I just don't. I mean, like it's a lot of work. So now I'm connecting back to my Active Directory server. Okay, lab account at lab.com. Okay, so yes, so this is my Active Directory. So I will just minimize it. Okay, we need to reboot SCCM one more time after joining to domain. Uh, So that is there. So let me just try to initiate a connection and see if it is working. So this is public IP. So at the end of the class, I will give you some tips on Microsoft Azure, right? So how to maintain your credit balance till the end of 30 days, and what are the best practices and what should not be done. So all these things I will tell you at the end of the session, so that you can use the lab account for 30 days instead of for 5 days or 6 days. If you keep running the virtual machines, right, it will actually charge you uh, for everything that is running on your Azure account. So you need to ensure that you are not actually overutilizing or misutilizing the. So so still I need to log into lab account as a local administrator only, see SSCM as lab account, because I have not joined that server to the domain. Okay. So now the first thing I need to do here is to join this particular server to the domain. So yes, I'll go here and say network control panel. So ncpa.cpl is a short form for the network control panel applet. So I will go there and I will right click and properties to see my DNS is properly set. TCP IPv4 properties. Okay, now it is pointing to the right IP address. Now if I go here to the Explorer and say this computer properties, okay, and then say advanced settings and computer name. So change. I will join it to the lab.com domain. Okay, and hit OK. Now it is asking me for the password. So I need to give the username and password for the lab.com domain administrator or account that have privileges to join computers to domain. Okay. So there are certain set of privileges. See, domain admin is the highest privilege at domain level. Okay. He can do anything. He can reset passwords. He can join accounts to domain, like computer accounts to domain. Okay. He can delete certain things. He can do a lot of things as a domain administrator. And you can also create accounts with only least privileges, because you don't want to see, for example, if you're a help desk want to join your computer to a domain, you don't want to give them a domain admin, because domain admin can do a lot of things. So that's when we use something called as delegation, only giving permissions whatever they require. Okay. So my account here is lab account. Okay, this is my account that has been promoted as a domain admin when I'm creating the, I mean, when I'm installing the domain controller, right? So now, right now I came to the domain. One thing I want to do. So basically, this is not a domain controller. Yes. So we have not installed Active Directory role or something. So
Yes.
what? So you cannot directly log in. Like you logged into Active Directory, you cannot log in lab account at lab.com. Why? You know why? See, lab account at lab.com is able to log me in because that is joined to domain, right? That is the only, that is a domain controller. So I'm able to log in directly, but this is not a domain controller. So I cannot log in directly. Next time when I reboot and try to RDP, I cannot log in directly as a lab account at lab.com, because even though that account is valid and this server is in the domain, okay, this is a member server only. Okay, this is just a member server. This has server operating system, and this has nothing to. This is not. This not a domain controller or something. So what you need to do, you need to manually configure the permission. So I need my lab account to be added as administrator. Okay, so lab account should be added as an administrator so that I can log in next time when I try to reboot and say restart, because I need to restart after joining the computer to the domain. So it will come up. Any questions so far? Confusing, clear, or you should let me know so that I
Little
can.
confusion.
What is the confusion?
Confused.
What is the
Uh,
confusion? Tell me.
Um,
I
no,
mean,
no.
we are
One
not
thing
able
is,
to learn.
Huh?
yeah, go ahead, Chetan.
Go ahead, you only, Arun.
No, yeah, by default, that Windows server doesn't log into the domain, right? But because we are not added to the group administrative groups when you join to the domain.
I didn't get your question properly. So
No, by
basically, let me.
default, if you're adding a machine to the domain, not the
Okay.
client, it's the server, the Windows
Okay.
server.
Okay.
So usually when you join the machine to domain on the client machine, once restart, we can log in with the domain credentials, right? But in the server, we need to add it to the administrator group.
Right. Right.
The extra step
Right.
needs to be taken care, right?
Right. Right.
So that's by default for all,
Mhm.
even in the live environment.
In the even in the live environment, if it is not a domain controller, you need to permission your account. If it is a domain controller, see, the theory is like this. If it is a domain controller, okay,
Okay.
whatever active directory user account you have, okay, it will have in the domain controller, right? What is the theory of domain controller? Domain controller is a database of all user accounts, computer accounts, and everything, right? So which means if you are having a server which is a domain controller, it already have your username and password. Yes or no? Clear till that point?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That point is clear, right? But now, if there is a machine, if there is a machine that you join to the domain, but that is not a domain controller, so it doesn't have the database like active directory has. Okay, so that server doesn't have any database. So even though your domain account even though your domain account is valid, okay, but this particular server don't it not will not allow you to log in, because you should be added as an administrator or at least in the remote desktop connection group to remote into that machine. You're trying to do an
Okay.
RDP, right? For RDP to be
Mhm.
allowed, you need to be locally added to any one of the groups, administrator group or remote desktop groups or any other group that will give you the privilege to log in as an, log in through RDP. So that is what my point is. You got my
Oh,
Yes,
question?
we are
yeah, got it.
enabling administrative RDP. That's it, right? That's what.
Yeah, if you are adding your account, see,
Yes, yes,
lab account is my domain admin account. Okay,
yes, yes, yes.
lab
I understood.
my domain admin accounts are recognized by my domain controllers. They will
Yes,
log me in directly. I don't need to add anywhere. You will not have option to add also. For example, if I go to my domain controller here, okay, if I open the same window, okay, where I try to add it to the administrator, see, it will throw me an error in the snap in itself, because I cannot add local users or groups in domain controllers. So my domain account is automatically logged in. Okay, so there is no option for you to configure what are the like these users are administrator, these users are RDP. So you don't have that option here in the, but in the member server, in the SCCM server, you have that option, right? Why did you have that option? Because your domain accounts are not directly allowed to do RDP. You need to manually add it to the local
administrative.
groups on the server, local groups
Yes,
on the
yes.
server. So is that clear, or do I need to explain again?
Yeah,
You
it's clear now. It's clear.
No, it's
clear.
clear. Yeah.
So this is the IP address of the SCCM. Okay, so I will go with lab account at lab.com and the password.
And I have one more doubt.
Yes,
Like
go ahead.
this is internet, right? So if it is in intranet, we can't able to log in, right? Intranet only you should. If we are adding domain means it is intranet. Usually, for if I mean real time scenario, we can't able to do from.
No, 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 hang on. Let me just clear that for you. Okay. So this public IP address, internet IP address is there, right? This is only used for RDP. Okay. For RDPing only. So if you look at the network configuration of these machines, okay, these machines are all in private IP within the same subnet 10.0.5, okay, 10.0.4 Active Directory. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Directory is on
And
10.0, SSM is on 10.0. So everything internal communication between these servers is happening to 10 dot happening through 10.0.0, not through public IP addresses. This not this IP address. This IP address is only for our purpose.
only RDP. Okay.
For our purpose, we need to connect. See, Azure network is different. You cannot access Azure network from if Azure also give you 10.0.0 network, that means you need to be also in the same network,
Same
the
network. Yeah,
same
that's
Azure
what.
network to connect to RDP. So
Yeah.
Azure knows that this is a cloud service. Cloud service is something which is hosted on the internet. So if
Okay.
people want to connect to the cloud service, they need internet, right? They need
Yes.
internet, and I also provide some access through internet. So both are communicating over internet at this point of time. So that is the theory. So we are not communicating between the servers using the public IP address. We are only we have with the concept is same, like you do it in your organization. We are talking through internal network only. This is only for our ease of administration. So that is why we have, so 40.1.7, this is the public IP. So you got my point, right? So for
Yes. Yes.
example, if I want to RDP through to the Active Directory server, so I can do it from here using the 10.0.0.4 address. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
10.0.0.4, because this server is in 10.0.0.5,
Same.
same network.
Same
So
network. Yeah.
if I hit connect, I can log into the RDP. See,
Yes.
get
Yes.
the prompt, right? So
Hmm.
that is how it works. So this is for our purpose only. So
Okay,
now
Malik.
we are going into the core part of SCCM installation. So there are a couple of uh, prerequisites that you need to actually do before you install SCCM. Okay. So SCCM needs a couple of things. The first one is SQL. You already know. Why do we use SQL? We use SQL because that is the database where you actually store all the information about your, information that your configuration manager client collects and report backs to the management point, like hardware inventory, software inventory, machine policies, and all those stuff. So we need to have some kind of database where to store. That's why we use SQL, right? And there are other services like IAS we need to install. uh, and also bits is a service that is used in Windows operating system. See, for example, if you package some application and you're distributing to distribution points, right? So the package cannot be, if you're packaging a 1 GB of application, 1 GB of application cannot be pushed over the WAN or LAN at a time. So what we use is called as bits, which will work with hands-on and with SSCM. Bits is going to transfer the data sequentially to the other distribution points. Okay, so if you package and distributing it, the bits will help you to distribute it sequentially to the all the distribution points without taking all the bandwidth on your network. So that is why we use bits is called background intelligent transfer service. So it intelligently transfers data over the network. So that's what it do. So it gives that name, so bits. So basically, and to have this SSCM, we need to have some kind of .NET framework also in to be installed, and we need the Windows ADK. Windows ADK automatic deployment toolkit is used for while it is uh, while you are doing OSD, operating system deployment. So you need some kind of ADK that supports the operating system deployment. So ADK is also one of the prerequisites for SSCM. So we are going to install SQL Server. We are going to install all roles from Server Manager, like bits, .NET Framework, and all those stuff, and IIS. And then we are going to install SSCM role, Windows ADK, and then SSCM. So these are the 5 things that we are going to do. Any questions on why we install something else, right? Any questions?
No.
No.
No, Malik.
So these installations are typically not done on day-to-day basis. Okay, so this is something we are.
One
Like
time installation.
yeah, I want to give you some kind of overview and make you comfortable. If you ever want to do installation of configuration manager, I want you guys to feel comfortable and don't I mean like it's kind of complicated installation, because normally Windows installations are pretty much straightforward. .exe, run as administrator, next, finish. So it is not the same case with configuration manager. Configuration manager actually has a lot of prerequisites and dependencies to proceed with before you start the installation. So let's go ahead and see, I will give you a documentation of like even everyone who is an administrator for like couple of years also cannot blindly do the SCCM installation. He need to follow some kind of document, because the prerequisites changes for each and every version that comes in. So for the SCCM current branch, there might we are trying to install now SCCM 2012 R2, but for SCCM current branch, these pre-requirements may not be valid. We may need to install another version of SQL or another version of Windows ADK and all those stuff. So we need to follow a set of guidelines and documentation while we are doing the installation. So I will give you the document links where I'm actually taking a look and doing the installation. So even though if you want to do it in your environment, maybe you need to check for the prerequisites before you start the installation. So I don't want any server roles. I want some features to be installed, that is .NET Framework 3.5 and HTTP activation in this. So these are actually used with IAS. Okay, we need IAS because I'm sorry, because there is in SCCM there is a lot of stuff that happens through IAS. So we need IAS as a prerequisite, and also a bit service as we discovered. So add features. So we will install bits and remote differential compression. This piece. So you want files to be, see, if you have 1 GB file, if you want to send an email, what is the best that you can do? You will right click and do a compress, right? You will compress to WinRAR, or you will compress to Windows zip or something else. So in the same way, when I'm distributing the content, I don't want the content to be rawly sent over the network. I want to compress it before sending it to other distribution points, so that it will actually reduce in size. Also the transfer rate will be good, right? So on and so forth. So that is why we need remote differential compression. So these are the things that you have to install from the server manager, and click next and next. I don't want to see anything else, and install. So these are the roles that I'm installing. uh, Now once the installation is done, I will go through the other parts. In the meanwhile, let's get the things downloaded first. The best part is, if you want to download something which is Microsoft related, okay, in Azure VMs, the download is very good, the download speed, because everything works in the internal Azure backbone network. So you will have a very good speed and latency. So it's not gonna take some I mean like it's not gonna take a lot of time for us to download huge set of files. And before that, let me just open this. Come on. So basically we have C drive and D drive. So in Azure VMs, there is a temporary storage automatically created for us. So basically you guys know the theory behind uh, the theory behind paging file. Why we use paging file in Windows operating system? Are you guys aware?
We don't
Usually it
know.
will improve the performance. That's why
Right.
we use.
So basically, we are, yeah, our paging file is some kind of a virtual RAM for you. It can, so even though see some kind of store, I mean, like if even though if you are having a very low physical RAM, right? But the temporary storage will actually help you to improve the performance, speed up things, and all those stuff, right? Similarly, in Windows Azure world, there will be a temporary storage automatically created for each and every VM that you create. Okay. So this is a page file. So we should not install anything over here. Okay, we should not install anything over here, because each after each and every reboot, whatever you change here or whatever you keep here, that will go. Okay, see, Azure is not going to give you any guarantee for data that is stored on temporary storage. Okay, so you should not store anything on temporary storage, because even though you lost the data, you cannot ask Microsoft to recover that, because that is documented clearly in the license agreement, that temporary storage should not be used for any production or anything, not just for production. It can't be used for anything apart from what Azure is intended to use it for, that is for the page file. So these things will be automatically taken care by Azure, so we don't want to do it anything over there. So now I have only C drive, so I want another drive for the SSCM to be installed. So I think I already attached 1 TB hard disk uh, to this. So, oh, sorry, Mr. Dot. So for SSCM installation and configuration, and for the SSCM log files and everything, I want that thing to be stored in a complete different drive. So I don't think I have one. Okay, I don't think I have attached. So I'll take that privilege of showing you how you can attach a drive. So this is the SSCM. So if I go to disks, okay, so currently there is one. See, I have attached disk. I don't know why it is not showing. So 1023 gig to
Shows like read only. I get.
that is host caching. Host caching is a different concept. But there should be one more disk which is 1023 DB. So let me just edit. Okay, so I will this is 10 DB discard, but this should show up in SSCM. Am I looking at SSCM only? Okay, why this is taking long time? What is this host name? Um, okay, god damn. I'm doing this on Active Directory server. I thought
Oh
that
my
is
god.
uh, I thought that is the problem. Okay, fine. That's fine. That's fine. We haven't done anything. We just installed some features.
Features.
So that's not going to be a problem. So this is my SCCM server. So let me just go through the disk mgmt.msc. Okay. So I should have. So this is the disk 2. Okay. Okay. This is the disk 2 I'm having. So I'm partitioning it. Okay. Now I want to bring this disk new, create a volume on this. Okay, this is online. So okay, next. So I want to assign some drive letter, so I can give E. Okay, next. Okay, next. Finish. That's it. Now I will have a 1 TB of hard disk for my SSCM installation shortly once the format is completed. There we go. Okay. So this is where we are going to actually install all the SCCM components. Before that, I need to add those features here. So let's go to the features. Next. So I'll go through quickly this time. So I need features. So I install .NET framework. This is 2.2 is enabled. HTTP activation and non-HTTP. And then I will come down and I want to install remote differential compression. And what else I need to did I miss something? Let me just quickly
.NET 4.5 all
That
features.
is, I think it is already installed. I'm just
No,
checking.
I think you select only two in that features. No, no,
Okay,
4.5.
okay. This is already installed.
Oh, two also.
HTTP
Okay, okay.
HTTP activation and okay. I need to install bits. Okay, okay, okay. Then we click next and okay. So we let me just quickly check everything. Let's do Windows authentication, SAPI filters, application development, ASP.NET. Okay, let's install ASP.NET 3.5 is checked, right? 3.5 our features and then see, guys, don't worry about like what all the features that I'm selecting. How should I know? So this is clear documented. Okay, so I will give you the document. So you just need to blindly follow the document. That's it. Okay, because no one can blindly remember all these things because things keep getting changed every now and then. Okay, so management tools, IS6 management console. Okay, find WMA compatibility. So okay, I think we are pretty good with all this. So next, so install. So don't worry about these features. I will give you a document. So even 10 years or 15 years as a SCCM administrator cannot remember all these features. So don't worry about that. So let's start with the downloads now. We need to download couple of things. SQL, ADK, and all those stuff. So so basically, I will create one folder first here to copy folder. I will say installation files. It's not files, it's files. Okay. So let me check if I have a direct download link. So first I will go to Google, google.com. So I will say, so basically this is something it will kill you. So what I will do is see, do you see these pop-ups? These pop-ups, this is something that can be turned off. But oh god, I need to wait for this to come. Okay, let's close for this. It will automatically install. Even you close it, it will install in the background, so no problem. So I need to turn off that bloody thing which actually bugs up every now and then. That is called internet enhanced security. So I don't want enhanced security for Internet Explorer, so I'm turning off so that you'll stop seeing those pop-ups, and I will close and restart IE once again. Okay, so Google. Okay, so basically for 2012 R2 SSCM, you can install 2012 SQL SP2. Okay, that is minimum requirement, but I will go with the SQL. Oh, thanks. 24 directly SQL Server 2014, so that there is no cumulative updates and all those stuff we need to install. So SQL Server 24 download. So I will go to the download. No, not interested. Don't kill me. So you can download it directly from the Microsoft official website. This is the evaluation trial. So you can download that. God. So Express 2014. Let's say download. And I want XC 64-bit. We'll install XC or we will download something else. Okay, will skep.exe is there. SQL Server. This is Express Advanced Edition. No, 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 no. I don't want advanced. SQL Server 2014.
The service pack 3, the third one, sequence.
Okay, one second. I'll type it as skep down. Okay, that's fine. We'll go with this only. 2014. Okay, whatever it is. Add service. No, yeah, which link I click? No, go back. Download. Okay, we'll download this, no problem. Let's see if I have any issues. Download. Okay, I click 1 gig download. Next. Allow once the pop up. Save as F drive. So I'm going to save it in the E drive. Sorry, E drive installation files. Okay, go there. Now, next, let's download Windows ADK. Google Windows ADK 8.1 download. Open a new tab. Arey, yaar, no thanks. Arey, me. This is the Windows ADK that I'm downloading. Windows 8.1. Okay, download. Save as. Same thing. So I will save it in ADK setup. Okay. Okay, next. So 1 gig it is downloaded in just 1 minute or so. So you don't need to bother about. So now we will download the system center 2012 R2. Sorry, system center 2012 configuration manager evaluation download. So these are pretty straightforward. Normal guys who have internet exposure can do all this download. So there is nothing miracle about this or technical about this. So you need to give some information here for a. Mm, no, 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 no. I want 2012 R2 endpoint. Okay, this one. So I just give some name test user test 09 company size 100 job title some job title test test 9. So it doesn't need to be a valid this thing, but the phone number should be 10 digits. Something like that. Country is India, and then continue. Okay, so I will. Oh, I will download the SCAP. Save as and scan. That's it. So your download will be momentarily completed, post which we will do the installation. Before that, we'll do a couple of things in the Active Directory. So Active Directory for installation of SQL and other stuff, you need to have service accounts. So you guys know what is a service account? Are you guys able
Service
to?
account, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, service account is usually uh, password never expire used for some services to be run.
Exactly. So
always.
basically, like a user account, like a computer account, you will, I mean, like you like similar to user account, you will have a username and password. Okay, but uh, but for service account also you will have username and password, but the password will never expire. So that is the concept. So in Windows world, there is better way of doing it now without see password never expires is kind of a security issue nowadays, because in auditings and all the stuff. So when Microsoft has came up with something called as uh, managed service accounts and all those stuff. So basically those passwords will be actually automatically managed by Windows server itself. So you do the password expires every 90 days, but it will be automatically renewed, and it will Windows will take care of everything uh, for the service managed service accounts. But I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to create a simple service account. So I will say svc hyphen sql. Okay, so this is the service account that I'm creating, and user cannot change password, password never expires. So this is the typical service account creation that we are following from some decades now. So yeah, next, finish. That's it, you created a service account. So basically it need to have some kind of permissions for SQL to actually do some to do some kind of reportings and all those stuff. SQL needs some service account needs some kind of privileges like domain admin or any kind of account that has some any kind of group that has some privileges. So basically what I'm talking is, see, if I give this guy, if I give this guy by default every object that you create is a domain user. Okay, he's a user of that particular domain. But if I want to make him as an admin so that he can do a lot of administrative stuff, so I can simply add in to domain admins. Okay, so that gives him a lot of administrative privileges, a complete administrative privileges on this particular domain. So basically this is a simple way of doing in the lab scenario. But typically what they will do in production or any corporate environment, so what they will do is they kind of uh, create something called as delegation. Okay, so what they are doing is only they are providing necessary access. So if SQL server want to access only some kind of information, only that privileges will be configured using delegation control. So for example, what you need to do is you select delegate control. I'm not going to do this here, but I'm just so I will create the, I will give the service account name here, and then I will say next. So these are the roles, by these are the delegations that you can do. See, manage group policy, join a computer to the domain. Okay, modify the membership of a group. So if I give him this particular delegation, what happens that user account can only join computers to the domain, but it cannot create group policies, or it cannot delete user accounts and all those stuff it cannot do. Okay, also I'm giving a least privilege that is only required for that user. Or you can create something called as custom delegation tasks, where you will give access to only attributes of what only see only objects in a particular folder. So this is something complicated, like you need to know which object gives what kind of privilege to the delegated account. So this is how they do generally in production and in large corporates and all those stuff. But for lab purpose, I'm directly giving domain admin. But in production they don't give domain admin directly, they will create a delegation role, and that delegation role will be attached to the user. Right, any questions?
No.
No,
Clear,
no much.
clear.
Clear.
uh,
Yeah, yeah, clear.
so for just for lab scenario I'm giving domain admin directly, but in general we don't do that in production. Okay. So yeah, so the download seems to be completed. So we'll go back to the SCCM server and then open this one. And let's go to installation files and then we install SQL Server. Okay. Okay, run the installation of SQL. Okay. So that's extracting all the files that are required. Oh, I think it's a long session, yeah. 2 hours. I think I'm gonna take 2 hours. You guys are okay, right? Or you have any other things to do?
No,
We are
no, no,
okay,
okay.
Malik. We are very interested to.
So I hope, I mean, I wish, I mean, like you are interested. I'm very glad to hear that because normally these
Yeah.
installations and setup process are like not very interesting for everyone.
While setuping, you are saying very clearly, right? So
So yeah, so this is the setup.exe. Please wait, Microsoft SQL Server is configuring for you. Okay, now so this is the SQL Server installation. So I need to go to the installation part. See, this is not an upgrade, so I don't have any existing SQL Server to upgrade. So I'm actually doing a new installation, right? So I'll go to new SQL Server standalone installation. So if you have any 2012, 2008, then you will select this option to upgrade to 2014, but I don't have any. So I'm selecting this one, a license agreement, and then okay, running. Okay, so I don't want any updates. So it's doing some kind of prerequisites. So let that do the prerequisites.
Malik, one more thing. If we in production, we need to install this in primary server
Not no no
in
no no.
SSM,
No,
or
no,
we
no, no,
need.
no. In production, we don't do that. In production, you run SQL Server differently. In
Okay,
okay, SCCM server differently. Okay, we
okay,
never
okay,
run both. Maybe in small companies where they don't have enough resources and all those stuff, they might run as like we are
mhm,
doing. But generally, the SQL server is handled differently and SCCM is handled differently, and there will be different SQL server support team as well. So you will not be doing SQL server installation. They will do SQL server installation. You just need to provide the prerequisites information like whatever you need to have, whatever the
okay,
components you need to have for so if you tell them, they will install it and give it the server for you. So that's it.
yeah,
So you really
okay.
need to do it. So this is not a tough installation. It is very straightforward. You just select all. I am installing everything. Okay, not select two components. So
How they will
so
interlink, Malik?
I will tell you. I will tell you. So we
Okay,
haven't have done the SCCM installation yet. Okay,
okay,
so
okay,
this is so there are two things, default instance and named instance. Okay, so instance is nothing but a database name. Okay, so you can actually give it SSCM or you can give it whatever it is. So named instance is something like you know for example, you have a folder in which you will have a subfolder, right? In C drive you will have multiple folders in which you have subfolders. In similar way, named instances, you will have multiple instances, and in that instances every instance have their own database. So you can run multiple databases using named instance, but I will take only default instance for now, and this is my instance id. The instance id is nothing but database name. That is my database name. So I will hit next. This is the server configuration part next coming. Okay, now I want these things to run with service accounts, not with local accounts, because we have created separate service accounts, right, for SQL. So I will run with lab SQL account. So this is why we created the uh, this is why I've created the service account for SQL. So I will give the service accounts for all this. Check name. Okay. So basically the last service, that is the SQL Server browser service. Okay. This service will be normally disabled. We don't want this. This is disabled in production environments as well, mostly. So I'm not going to enable it. So I'll keep that away. And then next. Okay, that's the lab account. So if you want to connect, for example, to the database using SQL Server SMS, right? SSRS, SQL Server SSMS, management. So SQL Server management, I think. So if you want RDP kind of access to Management Studio, sorry, SQL Server Management Studio, SSMS. Sorry. So you can use the lab account to connect to the database as well. So it is actually you can configure multiple accounts if you want. So that is not required for us. We are not going to log into the database. Install and configure. Next. Installation is in progress. So that's pretty straightforward, right? We don't have any hiccups during the installation, so you should not be having any issues. And once that is done, we'll deploy the ADK. Once the installation is done, and I'll get the ADK installed. So any questions in the meantime? We have clear, right?
Arun, do
So,
you have any questions?
No, nothing as of now.
so all three guys joined, right?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay, because I haven't seen the participant after I started. It's gonna take some time. I'll have some water and come. So you got the recordings for the first two sessions, right? You guys
Yes,
download it or
yes,
you're
ma'am.
watching online? Because I don't have enough space on OneDrive. So probably I will clean up for every 1 week. So if you would like to download files, download it onto your local laptop.
Okay, ma'am.
Or you
Vamshi,
can or you can directly move to your OneDrive folder. Okay,
how
that
can
is
you do
Yeah,
that?
that.
you need to you can directly right click on the file that I've sent and then add to my drive. So that file will
Okay,
be added to your drive.
okay, Malik.
That will take.
Better, Vamshi,
Okay.
can you better download it for safer side?
Yeah, sure. I'll try to download today.
Okay,
So, actually, I'm watching in online.
even me too.
So I'll, yeah,
So you can move it to
I'll
your
download it.
OneDrive and save it. No problem. I can do either way.
Yeah, that will be good. I'll, better.
It's gonna take some time here. Ta-da, ta, ta-da, ta, ta. Okay, let that get installed. I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. So that's why I said it's boring. It takes a lot of time. I can't even fast forward the recording. So instead I can stop and play, but monitor change. In the meantime, what we can do is we can connect to the client machine, which is Windows 10, and then join it to the domain. So that part will also be done. So same process, I log into the client with its IP and my client slash lab account, and then give it a password. Chetan, I will share you the usernames and passwords that I've set. Uh,
Sure, sure, Malik.
because this is your account, right? So you will be using,
Okay, okay, madam.
or you can create your own Active Directory account as a domain admin, and you can log into all these machines. That should also be good. So this is
Okay, madam.
Windows 10. Okay. So this is the client machine where we are going to deploy softwares or packages, and we pull reporting, hardware inventory, software inventory. So everything we are going to do it on this one machine, and the process will be same for multiple machines as well. Okay, so so we don't need to have multiple client machines to actually verify if we are able to do it or not. The process is very much similar. So if you do it on one, you can do it on multiple. That's the point. So let's go to the SQL. Is it completed? Okay, it's still going on. Let complete. In the meantime, I'll go to client. See, normally this is a trail account, so we have a limitation of 4 virtual CPUs that we can use. So assigned domain controller one, client one, and SCCM-2 virtual CPUs. But if you upgrade to pay-as-you-go subscription, uh, you can run multiple instances on multiple sizes. Normally, what happens is typically per hour, it will cost you somewhere around 10 rupees or 15 rupees while you are using these services. So if you once your trial subscription is expired, you can go to pay as you go subscription, but keep in mind that you actually shut down the virtual machines whenever not in use. In that way you actually get charged very less. You can expect somewhere around 300 or 400 rupees bill per month, still keeping, because if you create another account, trial account, and again do all this, I mean you need to do all the installation part and all those stuff. But instead what you can do, if you think that you can work daily on your lab and get full-fledged knowledge on SCCM in 1 or 2 months, so you can actually, instead of setting up another trail account, you can actually go to the pay as you go subscription, and then pay 300 rupees or something every month so that you will have your labs handy. So same process. I need to point this client machine to my DNS server. So I will go to network adapters, properties, and then I will change the IP to my DNS server, which is 10.0.0.4, and then I will give it a reboot, and then I can join it to domain because I will lose connection as soon as I do that. So we go for a reboot client once I lose connection. So typically this is what you will have in any production environment, one active directory, I mean like an active directory service. I'm not saying one server, an active directory service, an SCCM server, SQL database, and a client. It is one client here. You will have multiple clients in your environment. That's it. So the basic theory is same for everything. So everything is successful from the SQL part. So we are good to go with the installation of ADK. So this is automatic deployment toolkit, which is useful for us in during the operating system deployment, and this is one of the prerequisites as well for SSCM. So this is not going to take a lot of time. So it should be pretty start. Installation is this. Okay, let's next. And I don't want to join any customer improvement program. I accept the terms. Okay, so see, did you see this? Why we need 8.1 ADK? Because it is having user state migration tool. So you know why we use user state migration tool? Because when you're doing an operating system image, you want to capture the existing settings of an user, right? His favorites, it's you can his profile settings and all those stuff. Because while you're reimaging from example Windows 8 to Windows 10, right, you don't want to wipe out everything that user has, the user preferences and everything. So I'm going to select everything here by default, but it is everything is not required. We need only the Windows PE, and we need deployment tools, and we need user state migration. These are the three things that we need generally: deployment tools and pre-execution environment, Windows PE, and the user state migration tool. So I say install, and the installation proceeds. In the meantime, I will go back to my client. I will join the client to the domain. So I'll copy the IP address. I'll initiate an RDP session to the client. Mm, okay, I'll get the window here. Okay, client lab. Uh, right. So whenever in the normally what happens sometimes when you shut down and your VMs and come back again to perform your lab scenarios and all those stuff, sometimes you may see communication problems reaching to your domain controller. So ensure that you have your DNS server pointed to your Active Directory IP address. Okay, and reboot the machine if you have any problems. Then everything should be shut. So normally that's where you will have the problem in general with this particular setup that we have. The DNS IP sometimes might be changed because I ensured that the NIC is static IP, so the IP address will never change. But sometimes the uh, DNS IP might change. So ensure that every time you log on, you have the DNS IP pointed to your Active Directory server. So lab.com is my domain, so I'm going to add it to the domain. Okay, so I will give the lab account at lab.com. Okay, and then I will give you the password. So you need to reboot the machine again after joining it to the domain. So it is joined to the domain now. So I'll quickly check that I have RDP access. normally if you add it to the domain, you will have the RDP access directly because you will get added to the administrator group. So okay, lab account is added, so no problem. So if I create one more Active Directory account, for example, okay, if I go to my Active Directory and I create a user, okay. So this is a classic example I will give you here. So if I say right click and say new user, so I say Chetan G, and I will say the name as Chetan G username, okay, and I will set some password, okay, okay. So I keep password never expires. So next, finish. So if I go to Chetan G, okay, this account, and then I go to member of is a domain user, and I will make a domain admin. Okay, I will make him a domain admin. But though he is a domain admin, after the reboot of my client machine, the Windows 10 machine, I cannot RDP directly to this server, to this Windows 10 machine, because Chetan is a domain admin. He can log into the domain controller directly, but he cannot log into this particular Windows PC, though it is joined to domain, because it is not configured anywhere in the in the local groups of the server that Chetan is allowed to log in. So I what I can do is, see, basically domain admins is defaultly added, but so Chetan can be directly do it. But if I don't have domain admin here, I need to manually add Chetan account here so that he can RDP to the computer. So you got the point, right?
Yes, Malik.
So I'm restarting the client PC, so Windows 10. So it will be in domain once I actually reboot it. So this is the SCCM box. Where is so 61%? See, we selected all the features, so it's going to take some time. So generally we don't need all these features. We just need the USMT part, the tools part, and all the stuff. The Windows PE part. So selected SQL Server Express. I don't know. Okay. So it's gonna take some time here. So gotcha, next. So once this is done, we can directly go to the SCCM configuration part. So that's where I will show you how your database is connected to SCCM. That's where I can show you the differences between a primary site and a central administration site, right? And the default roles that are installed in the primary site server once you finish the installation, and what are the other roles that you can install as well as an optional roles. So those are the things we'll discuss in the next class once I complete this setup today. So tomorrow we'll start at same time at 10 o'clock, right? You can use the same link that I have sent before, not
Yes, Malik.
Yeah, yeah,
the previous link.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I will try, Malik, because I have office tomorrow. I mean, next week, like morning shift. Mostly, I will try.
Okay. If we want to set up any time in the nights, also that is fine. Somewhere from 8 to 10 p.m. also is fine for me.
No, 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 no,
For
no.
them,
8 to 10.
they have office.
Actually, yeah, we have office by. We'll start by 1:30. 1:30 to
I,
1:30 to
I will
11.
manage. Mostly, I will manage. But if
Not
we
I will
have
share
issues,
the recording. Yeah, no problem.
yes,
Yeah,
Malik.
yeah.
Mostly, I will manage.
Okay, that's fine.
Meanwhile, you told me you will share tips, right?
Okay, so let's see. Basically, uh, in Azure, everything is chargeable. Okay, so if I'm using a hard disk, everything is chargeable when it is in use. Okay, so if I attach the 1 TB of hard disk, if I attach multiple network cards, if I'm using multiple public IP addresses like this, okay, these are everything charged, but everything has a different way of charging. For example, if I have a 1 TB of hard disk, right? Until see 1 TB of hard disk is not really allocated to us. Okay, that is a fiction. It is telling that it is only 1 TB of hard disk. I have assigned you 1 TB of hard disk, but in reality under the ground it is not really blocking 1 TB of hard disk for you. Okay, it will only give, it will dynamically expand as you are using. Okay, but that storage is not permanently blocked for you. So for hard disk part, you will be charged whatever you are using and whenever the hard disk is in use. Okay, it depends on reads and writes. The hard disk, like the amount of data you are writing to the hard disk or the amount of data you are reading from the hard disk, you will be charged on read write basis. So if you shut down the VM, there are no read writes on the hard disk, so you will be not charged for the hard disk space. Now the IP address part, the public IP address part, this is something very typical. This public IP address part will not be charged when we are using it. Okay, when we are using it, it is free. When you are not using it, you will be charged for it, because you are not making utilizing, I mean, like, you are not utilizing the resources that Azure has dedicatedly allocated for you. See, this IP address is dedicatedly allocated for your machine. Private IP addresses are very limited, right? Sorry, public IP addresses are very limited, and it can be used for multiple things. Public IP is internet facing, so it can be used for multiple things. So Azure is dedicatedly assigning this IP for you. So as long as you are using, they're providing service to you, so it is not chargeable. But if you shut down the VM and if you are not releasing this IP address, okay, if you are not releasing this IP address, you will be charged for the time you are not using it. Okay, so for example, if you used it for 1 hour and you shut down the virtual machine for 23 hours, okay, you are not using the machine, but you are not releasing this IP address. So you will be charged for the 23 hours for this IP address, whatever the cost of IP address is, you will be charged for that for the 23 hours. So whenever you're shutting down the VM, you need to release the public IP address. So whenever you start the VM again, it will assign automatically a different private IP address for public IP address for you. So you need to connect using that IP address. Got the point?
Yes, Malik.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the CPU and other things are pretty straightforward. How much you are using, you are be charged on hourly basis. So if you are shutting down the VM, so your VM, you will not be charged. So ensure that you are shutting down the VMs properly, releasing the IP address when you shut down the VM, and you do this exercise every time you turn on the VM and turn off the VM. You need to ensure that you are doing this exercise, because you will exhaust your trial subscription very fast if you are not doing that. So ensure that you do that. Okay,
Okay.
so those are
Where we
the
can.
when you shut down the VM, you will have that option. I will show you while I'm doing the shutdown. Okay,
Okay. Okay, Malik.
okay, so this is done. So I don't want the getting started guide. So just give me 1 minute before I start the uh, installation of SCCM. I think my baby has woken. Let me just go and give her some chocolate and I'll get back in 1 minute.
Okay, Malik.
Okay, I'm back. So this is the config manager. So let's go to the config manager setup. So you see, right, if you know what you need to do, the installation is pretty straightforward. So if you don't know what you need to do, the installation is complicated because it has a lot of prerequisites. If you install the prerequisites correctly, it is also just the next process. If you are not installing the prerequisites, you need to scratch your head for hours and hours to see why something went wrong. So that is something you need to keep in mind. So typically a lot of people say that SCCM installation is very difficult, it is not straightforward and all those stuff because they don't know like what prerequisites are needed and sometimes they mess up things. So you need to make sure that you have the enough exposure to all the prerequisites before you start the installation. So let's start up with the config manager installation. It's unzipping package. I think I would have actually, and before I start it, I need to do one thing. Uh, I need to create a file. Okay. So basically, why I'm creating this file is, see, basically SCCM installation goes like this. Uh, I think someone should go on mute. I'm getting a lot of echo. Okay, so basically SCCM installation goes like this. Whenever you run the setup, the installation will check for whichever the hard drive has a lot of space. In this case, anyways, it is E drive which has 1 TB of space, so the SCCM installation will go through there. But SCCM installation looks for a drive which has a maximum amount of space on all the install hard disks, and the installation setup goes through there. But if we want to make sure that we don't want to install uh, any pieces of SSCM installation files in any other hard disk apart from where we want to install it. So that's the reason why we have to create something called as a file which is with the name no SMS on drive.sms. So basically what it is telling is, as when SSCM, if SSCM want to install some files on D drive, it will come here and see, okay, there is something file called as no SMS on drive. So I should not install any pieces of my SSCM parts here on this drive. So we are explicitly telling as an SSCM administrator to the SSCM setup, please don't install anything on this particular drive. I don't want here. So that is what I am actually telling the SSCM. So I will go here and I will rename this file. I will remove the extension .txt. Okay, so I'm now telling SSCM that please don't install anything on this drive. So I'll go back. Yes, I want to change it. Okay, so I'll do the same thing on C drive as well because I don't want to install anything on the C drive which is related to.
Is that simple notepad?
Yeah, this is just a notepad file that you're creating. Like for see, I just said right click text document and I renamed the text document to, okay,
Oh,
this particular file.
okay.
Actually, we don't need it on C drive, so I'll leave it there as it is. On D drive, I don't want to install because, as I said, as a reboot, every file that is stored on D drive will go away. So I don't want to go with.
అరే హాఫ్ గ్లాస్ పెట్టు హాఫ్ గ్లాస్.
So where did that setup extracted? I should go into F drive installation files. No, did it went somewhere or no? I unzipped, right? Oh, sorry. God,
Zipped somewhere else.
I think so. It did it zipped in C drive. I believe it zipped in C drive here.
Okay.
You see, that's the problem. So that's the
Yeah.
problem we have. So that's fine. That's fine.
Mhm.
But what I'll do is I will copy. I will cut
Yeah.
this. I'll go back to F drive and put it in installation files. That way it is. We can actually look at all source files at one place, and we have enough disk space also. So So I'll close all these windows. No, I don't want to run the SQL. I mistakenly clicked that. Okay, close. Okay, 78%. So now once the setup is copied to my F drive, so I'll go back, go into this folder, SMS setup, and oh, it's not ESD, auto run. Where is that? SMS setup. Oh, 1 second. Let me just quickly check where is that setup file. Okay. Multiple monitors. Okay, seen as same scap SMS setup. Okay, I need to go to bin x64 and then setup.exe. Okay, now before running this setup.exe, there is something we discussed earlier, right? About schema, right? So you guys remember what is the
Yes,
schema?
it is an extension of uh,
So extension of your Active
Active
Directory
Directories
right?
Yeah.
attributes. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so for SSCM installation, we need to do the extension of attributes. So because if I do SSCM installation now, there are a lot of attributes that SSCM populates, which cannot be accommodated by Active Directory. So in order for Active Directory to understand what SSCM attributes are, in order for Active Directory to accommodate or to give space for SSCM to create its own attributes, which are useful for us in lot other ways, we need to do the schema extension. So for the schema extension to be done, we need to run a simple command from the installation path. So basically this is the installation setup. So I copy the path and I will change the directory to the installation setup. So maybe I need to put it in a quotes. Do we have spaces? Yes. So I need to put it in. I hit enter. So I changed the path to this. Now I need to do it as an this particular exe file I need to run. This is called
Chetan,
extend
keep in
AD.
mute, once.
It's in mute only, Vamsi.
Let me. Okay, now it is mute. Okay, so this is the exe file that I'm going to run for the schema extension. So I hit enter. So it is extending schema. Please refer to the configuration document. AD must be configured to allow each configuration. Okay, no. Although the schema has been extended, it says the schema has been extended now. This is not just a notification. So the schema is now extended. So let me just 1 second. ADSI once. So the schema is extended now. We can go with the setup, but let me just check. I want to ensure that we have met all all the prerequisites. Okay, so looks like we have done. So I will run the setup.exe as an administrator. So if we see any errors, we need to fix that during the installation. So this is so install and configure. Okay, so as a primary site. See, there are three options now. So you need to look at it. So this is install and configuration manager of primary site. And this is an option for install a configuration manager of central administration site and a recovery site. So basically, I want to tell you one. I will draw a diagram here. So let me open Visio because I want you to understand the differences between a primary site, central administration site. So okay, create a blank one. So you can see the screen, right?
Yes, Malik.
Yes, yes.
Server. So basically, What is a primary site? So if this is your SSCM server, for example, let me just maximize this and zoom it to 100%, and let's go. So if this is your SSCM server, okay, and this is your client computer, okay. So now what happens is, so this is your primary site server, SSCM server, and this is your client Windows 10 machine. So from the SSCM server, sorry, not this, okay. From the SSCM server, you are going to install client SSCM configuration manager client, okay, on this particular server. So you deploy package, you will push it here. You do an application, you will push it here. So everything that a client receives will be from the primary site server, okay, or a server which has a role of management point or distribution point, everything, right? So that's the primary site server role. So if I have another client computer, for example, here another computer is there. So copy, paste. So this primary site server will do all the work for you. Okay. It will create policies. It will do multiple things for you. For example, if you have multiple primary sites, right? You can install multiple primary site, any number of primary sites. So this is for Hyderabad. This is for Mumbai. So, okay, Mumbai clients will talk to the Mumbai primary site server. Hyderabad clients will talk to the Hyderabad primary site server. Okay, so these are the primary site servers. Now there is something called as central administration server. Central administration server cannot create policies, cannot deploy packages, cannot do anything. It can do only one thing. It can uh, talk to these two servers. Okay, you know VMware a little bit at least. VMware, you know the concept of VMware, right?
No.
No, okay. So basically,
No.
what happens is this particular uh, this particular server can only do one thing. It can manage these two servers, which means this is kind of a console. See how in Azure portal, you are able to manage all three VMs from one particular browser, right? So all three machines we can manage here. So this is Active Directory, this is SSCM, this is client server. Okay, so these three are different roles, but we are able to manage everything. We can view the properties. We can do everything from one particular web browser, right? Your central administration server is also same. It is like a browser. Okay, it can connect to all three machines. Okay, it can only you can talk to these three machines, and it will do. For example, what happens in where is that? Okay, Visio. So for example, this is Hyderabad, this is Mumbai. You deployed a software, here. So Hyderabad one push it to Hyderabad, Mumbai one push it to Mumbai. Now your configuration client reporting has reported that this software is installed to the primary site. Okay, and Hyderabad also reported to its Hyderabad primary site. Okay, configuration manager has installed this particular software on this particular Windows 10 machine. Okay, now what you can do is these two reports will be pushed to here to the central administration server. So whenever you want to do reporting, if you want to see, okay, how many softwares are installed on Hyderabad, how many softwares are installed in Mumbai, instead of coming to these individual servers one at a time, you can go here and collect the report. Okay, for both Hyderabad and Mumbai, because this is centrally administering every primary site. So every report will be pushed here, so you can collect all the reports from one server instead of coming to for Hyderabad. Instead of coming here for Mumbai, instead of coming here, you can go directly to the central administration server. It will have access to all the reports. Okay, but this particular server cannot push directly any softwares to this machine. Okay, or any patches, or any, it cannot directly pull reporting from directly from the client machine. It should come through the primary. Okay, central administration server responsibility is to manage only primary servers. It will not have direct interaction with the client. It can pull all the reports, it can pull all the inventory from the primary side server, and it will store at one place, so that administrator can directly go to that place and pull the reports instead of going individually to each and every server. Got the concept?
Yes, Malik.
Yes.
Yes,
Clear, right?
yes, Malik.
So
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is
so
the
that,
maximum volume we can maintain?
see
4 lakhs.
yes,
Like
there are
that.
in primary side server you can install, uh, uh, there will be only one central administration server. Okay, but you can install as many as primary site servers you want. I think there is some kind of limitation, but I don't know the exact number. But you will never hit that number in any large corporate. You'll never going to reach that limitation. So we don't need to really bother about that. Maybe for interview purpose, if you want to learn, you can Google and search what is the limitation of primary site servers in an environment. You can do that. Okay, so this is the installation and configuration manager of a primary site server. We don't want central administration server. We want a primary site. If you installed three servers like this primary site, and if you want to manage all three servers from one server, you can install central administration site. Then you can connect all those three servers to the central administration site. So you can manage it from one particular place. Okay, that's the theory. So let's go to the primary site installation. So I don't want a product key. This is an evaluation version, so I will select evaluation version.
What is the recovery site?
So recovery site is generally when you are actually recovering something. If your SSCM site is down for some reason, or your content library is corrupted. Okay. Last time when we had an issue where the WSUS server is downloading hell lot of updates, putting a lot of load on SUP server, our site is completely hanged and it is not able to do any functionality. So in that case, you can try the option with recovery server. It will actually properly recover everything for you as a recovery
Okay,
server.
for real time scenario, we need to check it, right?
Yes, real time scenarios.
Okay,
So
fine.
so that is, I accept these terms, and this is the end user license agreement. I accept for everything, and then next. Okay, now this is where you need to show the paths for the installation to go. So I will select my E drive. Uh, and so this is for, okay, for sorry, for this is not the installation path. This is actually downloading the required files. So if you are newly doing the installation, you will tell the path where to download the installation file. So basically it is in E drive installation folder I want to download. For example, if you're already done an installation before and you already have the download files with you, you can use this option and point to that particular server instead of downloading it again. You can now you make use of already downloaded files. So that is the option there. So download the required files. So it will download all the 56 files that it need. It's not going to take some time. It will be really quick, maybe a 2 minutes. Any questions so far?
No, Malik.
No, Malik. No.
Yeah, I think I'm extending the session by another half an hour or so. Please bear with me because I want to complete this setup on one day so that it gives you a lot of exposure. If you do it in a multi-day, then it's actually you know lose the concepts again. So
Okay, Malik.
yeah,
Okay.
so everything is done. So I've selected English as my language. So uh, okay, again English. Now, this is the site code. This is a 3-digit code that will give you to your site to recognize it. For example, if you are actually installing 3 or 4 primary sites, okay. So basically, you want to identify which site I'm connecting to. So to maintain that uniqueness among all the primary sites that you have, you will actually select the site code. So you can give any word which is 3 digits. It is Chetan server. So I will starts with C, and I will name it as 01. Okay. So you can give name any name. Okay. So this is SSCM hyphen CM01. Okay, something like this. This is just the site name. So installation folder, it is taking C drive. So I want to go to F drive. Oh, sorry. I think actually it is okay to keep it the installation folder here, but let's move to the F drive part. Sorry, E drive. Next. Okay. Next. So join the primary site to an existing hierarchy. So I don't have an existing hierarchy, right? If there is already an existing server, I can join the site to the central administration site here, but I don't have a central administration site. This is the only a primary site that I'm installing. So I will install the primary site. It says you have selected to install a primary standalone site now, but if you want to make it a central administration site, you can make it later. I will say yes. Okay, this server is already joined to domain, so it already taken the server name, and this is my database name. Okay, and leave blank for the instance name. So it is going to create this database on the SQL. The SQL server is already installed on the same server, so my server name is sscmlab.com only. If you install SQL on a different server, you should specify that server name here. Okay, you got your point?
Okay, Malik. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where you connect SQL and SCCM. So
Okay.
if your SQL is installed on a different server, you will give that server name here. If your SQL is already installed on the same server name will be popped up here. So you don't need to do anything else.
Okay.
So it is checking some prerequisites whether the SQL is installed or not. So it is going to check all the pre-installations that are required setup for the setup. Setup is unable to connect to SQL server with the connection information provided. Verify the okay. So basically, this is not the we took it as a default server instance, right? So let me just go to SQL tools something. Oh, sorry, tools.
Maybe the service is not started.
No. I think we gave the wrong database name. Our database name is MS SQL Server, I believe. That is the default SQL database name that we have given, right? Let Okay, so let me just give that name here, MS SQL Server. Let's see. In the meantime, I'll just try to Google to see what is the default instance name. Default SQL Server instance name. I think it is MS SQL Server only. See if it is connecting or if we're still getting error. I thought I would have renamed that, but I went with the default one. You can give any name for the database there. So you just need to ensure that you give the same name here also, so that it connect to the database. What? No. You can install SMS to see the database name. I'm expecting this to connect. God's grace. Is it connected? Okay, I think it is connected. No. Oh, why? I think we are giving the name incorrectly. Uh, Instance name. uh, SQL. SQL tools. Let's go to this. Maybe this one. We can see the instance name somewhere. Okay, connect. Or the tuning advisor does not support SQL Server Express. Why I am not able to connect? Server name SSCM connect. Oof, man, I messed up. I would have copied that name. SQL
Is that
Server.
capital SQL, MS capital SQL server?
One SQL Server profile viewer.
Can you try with capital SQL? Will it work?
I don't know. Like I gave the wrong. This name is wrong, or I don't know. We need to find out. What I will do is. Next. Oh, SQL Server data profile tools, I guess something. SQL data profile or import and export data installations. Reporting. Let's go here and see what happened to this. Maintenance. I think this name is wrong. MSQL, MS SQL server. That is what I've given, right?
Try this one or either
No,
this
no,
one.
no, no. Not SQL server. Uh, it is maintenance. Remove node from a SQL. Okay, let's see if I browse for SQL installation. Okay, man. Oh, default. Let me just check what is. Let's go to the services first. As you said, I need to check because we haven't rebooted this server services.ms. SQL Server aging disabled SQL Server. Why is SQL Server agent MS SQL Server? That is the right, but it is not started, I guess. MS SQL Server only. But
Yes.
some why it is not stopped? C program files and why it is not starting? Oh my god. This one is started, right? SQL Server. This is the one. Okay, restart MS SQL Server. This is the one we configured with service account. So this is right. Exploring services is right. Okay, so this one is not correct. I think the problem is I've installed 2014 also. I guess okay. Then it installed 2012. This one is also installed. So I uninstall this. So what happened is While running the ADK setup, right? 8.1 ADK setup, I selected all options, correct? So that all options installed 2014 also. I mean, sorry, 2012 SQL Express also. We already have 2014. So I think this one is trying to reach the 2012 one. So it is telling it is not able to connect. But this
Okay.
one, I think so. That is the problem, I believe. But maybe I need to reboot or what? I don't know. Apply. Okay. So let's try again. I'm having issues connecting to SQL. Why is that? Oh, there will be some database tool will be there to connect. SSMS I cannot. Okay, this one is installed. Okay, very good. Let me just. This is one I'm talking about for connecting to the database directly. Let's see if my. Okay, so connect to my database. So this is my databases and the system database. Oh, tempdb, msdb master. Oh my god. So where is my SCCM database? This is connected to SQL Server 2012. SCCM. Something is wrong. Something is wrong with the SQL setup. Oh god. So this is the MS SQL server. MS SQL server. Correct. Then why it is.
Can you try with SQL Express?
No, there is something
No,
I.
not MS. Only SQL Express.
No. Something wrong. Let me just close it and exit SSMS. Let me see where it is connecting. Database engine on the server SSCM, right? Connect. Then why it is not installing? System databases. I don't see a database which is actually called MS SQL server. Right click. New database. Okay, let me just try this. Database name is SCCM. Add. Okay. File name was empty. Which file name? Primary SCCM log. I not up. Owner is default. Okay. Then why it is what's I want to remove. Okay, SCCM log. Okay. So I created one database SCCM. So let's see. That should work, I believe, because we have a, but I think problem is going to be permissions. Permissions. Search. Local. Oh, what is that lab account, right? Check names. Oh, browse. What did it say? Did it connect? First, wait. Still not able to connect. Okay, I think I need to sort this out. We've extended a lot. So I will fix this today and I will actually start the class tomorrow from here on. Okay. So basically some setup I have messed up on the SQL side. I will ensure that setup is back. Setup is appropriately done. Maybe the instance, only the instance name I think I have messed up and I need to sort out that. I will sort out that and tomorrow class I will start from there. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Mali.
Okay, okay, no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay then.
Yeah.
Because
Bye bye.
my baby's already started trying, so I'll take the class tomorrow from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure, no.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mali.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you, Malik.
Yeah.